Wright. I'm your host, Coach Richard Bacon. We are starting part 2 of our mental health sessions with my wonderful guest, beautiful Miss Umeka Wright. I didn't mention it, I think, in part 1, but she's like a niece to me as well. You know, I told you I've known her all her life, and she actually calls me Uncle Richard. So I want to go ahead and throw that in there because I don't want to hear her daddy's mouth talking about, you didn't acknowledge this, that's your niece. Yes, this is my niece. All right. And man, we were rolling so well on the last. It was almost hated to cut it off to have to do a part 2, but you have so much valuable information that could be applied to a lot of different situations, whether it be athletics, your everyday life. And not only do I want them to hear from you, I want to hear more from you.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay,
all
all
right. Thank you
right.
for having me again.
All right, not a problem. So I mentioned in part 1 a little bit that we were going to talk about the stigma of seeking help. So there's sometimes a stigma around seeking help in sports, in the sports world. So how can athletes be encouraged to prioritize their mental health and seek professional support without feeling stigmatized?
I think if it's just a natural part of their day, it has to be implemented into their day to show that this is something that is normal, is natural. This is what you need to keep going. I think what causes us, sometimes to shy away from it is because in the sports world, it's seen as weak, or they're seen as weak. I've seen several. It was a softball athlete in college, was constantly, telling her coaches, I'm struggling mentally. And she was just shamed so much for doing that. So you see all of that on Twitter. That makes others not want to come out. I will say after, COVID-19, mental health awareness have went through the roof.
Yes, yes.
And I can definitely appreciate that we have so many professional athletes that have come out and said, you know what, I'm struggling mentally. I know right off the top of my head, I think of Dak Prescott, spoke out about, his mental struggles, which is important because that helps those that are also dealing with those mental health issues to seek help. And no, it's normal. It's a part of life. It's no different than you having a stomach ache. You're going to go to the doctor to get checked on. So if you are struggling day after day, we're all going to have bad days. But if you get to the point where every day is a bad day, you probably need to see somebody.
And the fact that they're not removed from the normal stresses of daily life,
Absolutely.
compiled with athletic requirements and expectations.
Yes.
I mean, I don't see why. And you know what? I had a former player on one of our shows, and he talked about he had a sports psychologist, and I'm like, why? First came up, why do you need one?
Everybody do.
But yeah, man.
Everybody do.
Yeah.
It needs to be implemented and embedded because they, like you said, they are required to do so much more. You got to go to class. You got to make sure you're on time. Plus, your character have to be intact. You can't be running around there acting any old kind of way. Sometimes you can't even have a bad day.
Right.
You have to be on all the time.
Right.
And that is mentally draining. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you just don't have the mental capacity to deal with other people, but you're always expected to be on 100 and be on your A game all the time. Sometimes it's okay to relieve yourself from that pressure.
It's almost like an unbelievable expectation for us to have of them. I went and watched him play. He wasn't that good, but the night before he was great. It didn't necessarily mean that he had so many mental health issues that day. It just meant that at some point it catches up with you.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. Proper sleep is important. And when we look at teenagers, if you look at the studies, it shows that we think that as you get older, you need less sleep. But as you get older, you need more sleep than an infant. And teenagers, they start their day at 7:35, going to class. So that's at school. You need to be there or you're tardy.
Right.
And don't have metal detectors because then you need to get there a little early to get through the detectors. But
right.
you have to make sure that, so you're getting up early. They got classes, then they're going to practice during the day for athletics, then they're going to go back to class, then they're going to practice after school, and then if you're an elite athlete, you're going to have some trainings in there, so you're going to go to training at night, then when you get home, you're going to do your homework, probably until about midnight, and then, or if you want to play your PlayStation or Xbox, you're going to play your game, and you're going to go to sleep at about 2 a.m. and then get up at 6 and do it all over.
And you didn't even mention meals.
I
like
didn't even mention
breakfast,
getting
lunch,
anything to eat. You ain't ate nothing.
Ain't call your girlfriend,
Nothing.
boyfriend.
No social life.
No social life. And then I come, because I paid $5,
Yeah.
I expect I
need
can
you to
just
be
jump
on.
up and say, you suck.
Yeah.
You know.
Overrated.
Yeah, you're over.
Overrated. You know, you hear that all the time.
Right. I thought he could play.
Yeah.
If I was still coaching, what are some of the signs I should look for, red flags that would indicate that the athlete might be dealing with some mental health issues and needs some support? What are some indicators for me?
Definitely a change in behavior.
Change in behavior.
You have that athlete. You hear coaches say, I don't know what's wrong with him. He just been acting like he got an attitude. Or he just seemed like he's sad. Or have you asked him?
Right.
So you have a change in behavior. You notice they may not be eating. They may be sleeping a lot or not sleeping enough. So it is so many things. And when you, especially with sports, the coaches are with those athletes most of the time more than they are at home.
Right.
So they see it. And then even as a parent, you see it. I remember when my oldest son, the middle son, was a senior, and I just noticed he was off. So his preferred method of communication is text message. So I sent him a text that morning. He was at school and I was at work, and I said, hey, just checking in, are you good? And his response was, not really. Because I always say, do you want to hurt yourself or hurt anybody else? You know, just making sure. And he said,
Right.
I'm not having any thoughts of wanting to hurt myself, but I'm not happy. I'm just coexisting. I'm just living. And that's a problem. So sometimes a simple question is, hey, are you good? Or coaches can ask the parents, anything going on at the house? Because he just don't seem himself.
Right. Okay, and mentioning that question, that's kind of a fine line for a coach to walk when he's talking to a parent, because you don't want to make it seem like you're getting in their business.
True.
But at the same time, you do recognize that there's
Something.
a problem and there's a need to get it fixed. You know, and like you said earlier in part one about the confidence that a kid could have in the coach, then he'll tell him stuff that he probably wouldn't tell. And you know what? You brought, 44 years of coaching, boy, you just keep bringing up. So I had a kid one time. He had been in an accident before practice.
Okay.
Hurt his leg,
man.
and he looked like he was loafing in practice. So I'm on him hard about why. Okay, you know what? Just get on that. You're gonna run some sprints, and he ran them at the same pace that he was running the other sprints at. And we're like, oh, so you just being rebellious,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we got on him, and I just knew something was off, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and he wouldn't tell me.
Of course.
I get a phone call later that night from his dad. He says, Coach, he said, I understand you had some problems with my son today. And I was like, yep. He said, well, he didn't tell you what happened? He said, nope. He said, well, he was in a car accident. He hurt his leg, and that's why he couldn't hardly run, because his leg was hurt. But he didn't want to disappoint you.
So he didn't say anything.
So he didn't say anything. Yes. He didn't want a crutch to lean on and say, well, Coach, I was in a wreck, today, and that's why I'm not running hard. And so I had to pull him to the side and say, man, you have to let me know. I nowhere in the world would I have tried to punish you for something that you obviously couldn't do.
But in their head, sometimes they hear, well, they don't want to hear any excuses. So I just didn't say anything.
Right.
As a parent whose brain is, I mentioned before, whose brain is fully developed, just communicate. Just say, you know what, this is what happened, and they will understand.
And I think coaches have to understand, too, that you talk about not letting you down, and you talk about doing this and doing that. And so sometimes those kids just don't want to let you down, Coach.
Absolutely.
And they're giving you all that they can give you, and that's it for the day.
That's it. I don't have anything left, but I'm going to try to give it to you because I don't want to let you down.
I don't want to let you down.
Absolutely.
Can teammates get involved with this as well, maybe? Help their teammate along?
Absolutely. I think I know when I played sports and when my daughter ran track, it was fun. And your team is like a family. Like, you love being around them. Y'all had a good time. And I think when you have someone that can hold you accountable, or that can see that, you know what, something just may be a little off, and they come in and to check on you, I think that that's really important, and that's what keeps the team going. and motivated and want to play well for each other. I think sometimes right now within some of the teams, you have so much rivalry going on. It's fun to have healthy rivalry. I know when I ran track, if you wanted to run on the relay, you had to challenge someone for their spot weekly.
Right.
And it's fun. At that point, you're like, oh, I'm about to get your spot. But now it's like, oh, he got an offer on Twitter, or he posted that, he, or somebody made him a mixtape or something of that sort, and he got a, highlight film going around, and they only talking about him. Then they, as the words of the kids say, they hating on each other. So I think if you can find you a team that's like a family, and a coach that makes sure that he is not only concerned with what the kids do on and off the field or court or track, but making sure that he's checking in with them or she's checking in with them all around, or their, the whole child, they'll perform a lot better.
I think sometimes your teammates may know more information than the coach knows because they confide in each other, right?
Yes.
And so I've had this situation happen before. Coach, we got him. Mm-hmm. Say, man, hey, boy, you ain't. And then the next day, they say, oh, Coach, we got him. Come here, man. Yeah. I say, man, what you doing?
Exactly.
Man?
But they got to have that relationship with one another. Other than that, like, who you talking to? You can't tell me what to do.
Right.
So I think the relationship is important.
So we have to allow sometimes those support systems, even though it may not be you as the coach.
Somebody.
Long as it's somebody
Absolutely.
to help get that. And that stigma, man, that part sticks out in me because, as you said earlier in part one about how these kids aren't built like us.
No.
And there are certain things they can and can't handle.
They can't handle it.
And they don't want to be, for us, shaming was to motivate us.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to show you.
Boy, you can't. Oh, everybody in here can but you.
Yeah.
And then today's kid will say, okay.
Yeah. I'll change my mind. I don't want to do it anymore. No, they'll just walk away from it.
Right.
Altogether, instead of looking at it as a challenge, because I don't think that a lot of them have the mental resilience that that we had back in the day.
See, when my going into my sophomore year, the spring of my freshman year, I didn't go to off-season basketball because I'm falling in line with all the other dudes who want to go get a job and make some money.
Oh, here we go with that.
Make some money, right?
Yeah.
So fall come around, it's time for basketball, and I want to go in the gym with the varsity guys that travel varsity. He said, no, you go over there. You go over there with them dudes you was hanging out with. So coach said, okay, I'm in there in the JV gym. He said, all right, so all the guards are going to play one-on-one, and the two left are going to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I got me a spot.
All right. Yeah. Well, I know who's going to be one of them two.
I got me a spot.
And ran through everybody.
Yeah.
And then the first game, I go out and score like 32.
Oh, wow.
And I'm walking down the hall, and my coach had a hall duty. Mm-hmm. He saw me on my way to lunch. He said, say, man. He said, come here. You real cool. Mm-hmm. You had 32 last night? Yeah, you're in the big gym today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a what? He said, yeah, you're in the big gym today. I was like, whoa.
Because you did what you needed to do.
Wow, yeah.
But is it that easy now, though?
No.
Because emotions tied into it.
Right.
Your mama done got onto me or sent me an email, and I don't like your mama. You said this in practice. It's not, it's no longer about skill anymore. Sometimes it comes down to popularity, which plays into their mental because they're like, okay, when am I going to be somebody's favorite? Or when is somebody going to look at me? Or I'm underlooked or overrated, and
don't let that AAU coach show up at the gym.
Oh, then it's...
And you've been bragging about how he let you do.
Exactly. But when can we be a team? I want to partner with my kids' coaches. That way, because I know you mentioned before, where the coaches feel like you're not getting in their business. I mean, have my cell phone number. Text me and say, hey, you know what? He was off in practice today. Did something happen at the house? I don't mind sharing that with you because at the end of the day, we should both have the best interest of that athlete, which is my child, and that's your athlete. Right. But I think now we've all gotten away from from working together, not only just with coaches, but even the teachers. Some of them don't even want to hear from the parents when they get to high school. But we should work together when my kids went off to college, I had the track coach cell phone number. They're adults, but at the end of the day, call me if you need to, or let me check in with you. Hey, she over there at the department acting up. Can you go and see what's going on? Because I can't get there.
Right, exactly. And a lot of times for these young kids going off to college, you're more of an adult on that campus, but you still a child.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
because they didn't give you, when you get to college, they give you a few more perks. Like I remember going through registration with Adriana, and they told her she's 18 now, so we don't need y'all to have to sign anything. It's on her. She has to give permission for us to see her
sign that
stuff.
form, absolutely.
And like, wait a minute,
and
I'm
every
still
one of my kids know they better sign.
She still own a room, not a house at my house.
Exactly. That's it. They know that it's going to sign that form.
Right.
Because you're still going to need extra spending money. You're still going to need more than what they're giving you on this campus, and you still need this health insurance. So I just sign this form so I can look at your grades and everything else.
You thinking you grown, you better better sign it.
Absolutely.
So the mind and body connection.
Absolutely.
How does the athlete's mental state impact his physical performance, or vice versa? So you're trying to tell me that because I'm mad at my girlfriend, we broke up before practice, and I said that to say this. I had a rule that and we had a lot of girl managers. Okay. You could be a manager, and I give them an interview. Okay. 2 questions.
Yes.
First question is, are you dating anybody on my team?
Do you want to date them?
Second question is, do you want to date somebody on my team? Because if any of those apply, you can't be and the guys were looking at me, why, coach? Why not? She cute, blah, blah. I said, listen, man, do y'all not understand if we getting ready to start practice and I've got this great practice plan and we ready to go, and you come in with your head down because you mad at her and y'all got to interact all through the practice.
Yeah, it's a distraction.
You can't have that.
No.
Cannot.
No.
At all.
No.
So tell me about this body and mind connection.
It's definitely connected. Think about something as simple. When our basic needs are not met, we cannot function. Basic needs, something is hunger. You hungry?
Yeah. I was going to ask you to go through them because I know what they are because I taught health.
Yes, if you hungry, you can't get nothing done. You in the class or you at work, you cannot, you like, let me go get something to eat and then I'll come back and get to this later. So those basic needs have to be met. If your living situation is not intact, if you don't have proper water, you're dehydrated, all of those things are connected. It starts as early as when we're little. Think about when a kid is being bullied at school. They know I don't want to go to school, but sometimes as a counselor, I would hear, my stomach hurts. That's the first thing they say, my stomach is hurting. But everything else, all the needs were met, but up here was not right. They were depressed, anxiety. Those things are connected. We have to make sure that we're paying attention to the cues that our body gives us. Our body is very smart, and it gives us cues, but we sometimes dismiss those cues and be like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to push through. You can't push through. You have some kids, and despite, depending on the area that the kid may live in, some people make the assumption, oh, they live in this area, right, they are fine, or their parents drive this kind of car, so that kid shouldn't be hungry.
Yeah, why you got a problem?
Exactly. You shouldn't have a problem. That kid shouldn't be hungry. That kid shouldn't have, issues going on at home, because I seen the way they dress him. But sometimes it is certain things that's going on mentally that they struggle with.
I know when I used to teach health, I talked about, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
That's it.
And I always use this example because one of the other needs is rest.
Yes, you got to sleep.
You got to have some rest. And I used to always give this example. I said, think about it. How many times have you fallen asleep watching a favorite movie? And I told him, I said, I can always tell in class when you're getting tired because it starts with one hand because you can't hold your head up no more. Now you need two hands to hold it up. And to the point that you need the desk.
Yeah, you're laying down.
Yeah, you need the desk now.
You're tired.
Yeah, you're tired. And until you get that need satisfied,
Absolutely.
the rest of the day is a shot.
You're not, and You have your mental clarity at that point is affected.
What can we do? What kind of mental exercises or mindfulness techniques that athletes can incorporate?
Definitely visualization. We talked about that earlier. Okay. Mindfulness. And I've seen even athletes incorporate yoga. Like you have some,
Okay.
Right. I've seen a baseball player, he has a yoga once a week. So putting those things in some meditation, but also prayer. My 16, well, he's 17 now, he'll get me for saying that. During the AAU season, he had a lot going on up here. Because at this point, if you made a good travel team, everybody on that team is elite. Everybody's a superstar. So you fighting for your space and fighting for your time. You ain't got to worry about no grades.
Right.
It's summertime, so I'm just waking up, practicing in the gym, playing. He had a lot going on. So I said, hey, you got a spiral notebook? He was out of town, and we were, I think, in Oklahoma. I said, you got a spiral notebook with you? He said, yes, ma'am. I said, pull out your spiral notebook. We're going to use this as a prayer journal. Because sometimes, people say, well, just pray. Well, when this is cloudy, I don't even know what I'm saying. What am I?
What am I praying about?
I don't know what I'm praying about. So I said, a prayer journal is simply you just having a conversation with God, but writing it down. Write it down. And he would write in that journal every morning, even on the bus, talking to God. And then he would screenshot it and send it in our family group text after the game and say, see, this is what I talked to God about. And then this is how I played in the game. So I think those things, just real simple, mindfulness, like I said before, being still, visualization, and then just also meditation, prayer journal, or yoga.
Yeah, I met a basketball player, people who, if you're watching this show and you go back to guys that played in the 70s in the NBA, a guy by the name of Walt Frazier, played for the New York Knicks, all-time great, top 50, all that kind of stuff. And the first time I met him was when I was in college, and I had, kept up with him from reading because we didn't have no social media, didn't have no ESPN. So through reading, I knew he liked yoga,
Right.
And he did it. And so most of the professional teams, when I was in college in Phoenix, if you were playing the Phoenix Sun, you worked out in our gym.
Okay.
So we'd be in the dorm sometime, okay, New York Knicks. Knicks over to the gym, man. We're going to go over there.
Yeah.
So I went over there because I wanted to meet him and Earl Monroe and some of the other guys. And he was on a table doing his yoga stuff before practice. He was in there before everybody else. Getting stressed out and all that, I guess getting the mental part of what I'm about to go through.
Yes.
Because it is, especially on that level.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level. It's levels to it. But
Yeah.
Your mind is connected to everything else that you do. If this is cloudy, then your performance is not going to be to the level that you're expecting it to be, or even the coach is expecting it to be.
Yeah. And that anxiety is real.
Oh, absolutely.
Ask your child, what was you thinking about when you went to that free throw line up one with this amount of time left?
Pressure. Pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
And I think, and I started using this term, I said pressure was self-induced.
Oh, absolutely.
And so since it's self-induced, or anything that belongs to me, if I have, in that little circle that I can control.
Yes, that's it, the circle of control.
I got it.
Yeah.
If it's on me, I got it.
Yeah.
So that's how I wiped that out for me as a player and as a coach. I remember a principal called me in when I was coaching out at Richland. And he said, Coach, this was my 4th year. He said, Coach, we brought you in here to make the playoffs. Coach, we haven't made the playoffs yet. I said, yeah. I said, we'll get in there.
Right.
I said, here's some things you need to take into consideration. We are better than we were when I got here. When I first got here, they let 2 teams make the playoffs. We were 3rd.
Okay.
I said, now they let 3 teams in, and now we're 4th.
Oh, man.
I'm like, so we still making progress. We're just 1 team out of the playoffs. He said, yeah. And so I looked at him and I told him this. I said, trust me, no one puts more pressure on me than me because, first of all, I know it's self-induced.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to do what I have to do to stop you from doing what you think you want to do.
Right.
So if you're thinking about trying to get rid of me, that ain't going to happen because I'm going to do what I got to do to take care of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, so when you look at pressure, people, pressure is self-induced.
It is.
It's self-induced.
It is. You put a lot of it on yourself.
Yeah.
You're constantly thinking, the negative always speaks louder than the positive. So you're constantly playing the negative things over and over and over. But as I said before, if you actually just look at the facts, because somebody will say, oh, I had a bad game. But if you go back and look at it, you had one bad play. That didn't make a bad game.
Right.
So you have to actually just look at the facts of it and take that pressure off yourself.
It's almost like when sometimes you get on your kid and they think, oh, he don't like me. Or players, he don't like me. He like him more than he like me.
Yeah.
No. Here's what I don't. I don't like your behavior.
Right.
Or I don't like that act you
Yes.
did. I love you.
Right. Let's focus on
what the problem really is here.
Absolutely.
You mad at me because you didn't come on time when I've told you that to be early is on time and to be on time is to be late.
Absolutely.
Give yourself, I said, look, build yourself a 15-minute window for anything that might happen that's out of your control.
You want to be focused.
Just some of them, give yourself a 30-minute window.
Yeah, because they're going to be late.
You know? And the other thing is back to what we talked about earlier, communication. If I told you I was picking you up for a date and I was going to be there at 7, and at 6:55, my GPS is saying if I leave my house now, I'm not going to get there at 7:15. I know that now.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to wait to try to get there at 7:13 to say I'm sorry that I'm late. I'm going to let you know now so that whatever you're doing in your preparation.
Sometimes we put extra pressures and stressors on ourselves by our own actions. And unless you self-reflect and look at those things, you'll continuously blame other people versus yourself.
Just like you said then, if you know what the stressors are, I used to have questions in my health class when we talked about mental health and ask myself, okay, so you got a big test tomorrow. Mama told you to watch the kids because she's going to get off a little late today. You in there trying to study, and they making all kinds of noise. They done broke something, and you mad, and you ready to kill them.
Right.
But what is the real true stressor in this?
You waited to the last minute. That's exactly what it is. You waited to the last minute.
Yeah, that test is stressing you. It ain't them kids, because this is the way they play every day.
Right, that's what they do.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
So if you can start identifying stressors, I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
And boy, this is the one I couldn't wait to get to.
Okay.
Let's talk about this technology.
Oh, my goodness.
Technology and mental health in sports. What are the potential impacts, both positive and negative, that social media platforms can have on an individual's mental well-being?
We know social media is.
Social media. Can't live with it, can't live without it.
It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it helps when it comes to just actually recruiting processes and putting the kids out there and helping them promote themselves. But at the same time, it is, when we were growing up, we had video recorders with the tape that you got to put in and you got to go back and watch it. Now, you can actually relive a situation in that moment and over again, and then it's sent out all over the world. It goes viral, and you can't control it. So I think we have to, I love social media. I use TikTok as my, that is my guilty pleasure and my relaxation at the end of the day. It is mindless behavior. So I done worked all day, I'm tired, and so now I am scrolling and laughing, and I like healthy, happy TikTok, not sad TikTok. But with the kids, but again, my brain is fully developed. So I know what I can handle. Those kids, their brain is not fully developed, and they're absorbing all of the things that they shouldn't absorb, and they don't know how to cut it off or turn it off. So they have to build in breaks. In that circle of control that I was talking about with my 17-year-old, in his circle, he wrote, take a break from social media. Because sometimes you are so focused and comparing yourself to others and focused on what other people are doing, that is what's stressing you out. Because you're not focused on yourself. Who cares that he got an offer? What God has for that person is for that person. And what God has for you is for you. And it all comes in timing, and we have to make sure that we are on God's time and not our own time. But we live in a time where We want to rush everything.
Well, this is instant generation.
That's it.
Everything.
I
Fast
call it
food
Instapot, everything.
to microwave. Everything got to be right now, real
Right now.
quick.
Real
Mama,
fast.
I need $400 right now.
Last night.
Yeah.
I need it, or I need you to come pick me up from Colorado, in 15 minutes.
15
Did
minutes,
you
right,
know
right,
this
right, right.
beforehand?
Right.
It is just, everything is so last minute with them, and everything is, I need it in an instant. And I think with social media, and it's so many platforms, they have so many of them that they don't know how to turn it off and when to turn away from it. Now, if you can control it, it works great for you.
And you said something a minute ago that I picked up on, and I hope everybody else did. No one is immune to this stuff.
No.
No, it's like when you were describing how he got this, so they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
No. It affected me and my family when my daughter was being recruited.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And we kept telling her, hey, you don't have to sign early. It would be great to get it out of the way, but you do not have to sign early if you don't have what you want.
Right.
But, they got the signing day stuff at the school. And as great as that is for those who are signing, I think we don't give 2 seconds thought to those kids that are not signing.
Because you feel left out.
And I'm going to tell you when it hit home for me. Last year, we had a player stand up on one of those days where we got away from, just talking in general, and advocate for one of his teammates. It don't make sense. This dude at this school signing with this, and he is way better than him.
Yeah.
I agree. He is way better than him. But
it was for him.
Yeah.
Which is, my son went through that, and it was like, well, they already know where they're going. We're still in the recruiting process, so we're going to have a signing day for them, and then we can just do one for you later.
And here's another thing, guys and girls who are out there. I coached the McDonald All-American game. We had several guys on the McDonald All-American game, top 24 players in the country, who had not signed early.
So it's fine. It is okay to be patient.
It is okay. It's hard for you,
but it's very difficult. I went
Right.
through the recruiting process 4 times, getting ready to go through it again, and each time has been different and weighed on them differently because, unfortunately, it's like a game. The coaches call, they get their hopes up, and then they go to a game, they see somebody else, so now they're not answering their phone anymore. So to a child, it's, they're instantly rejected, and how do they handle that, or how do they deal with that? And at that point, it starts to weigh on them mentally, and now everything is out of their control when it comes to recruiting. So they try to control it themselves, but unfortunately, sometimes you just can't.
What I used to try to tell my guys to do was understand every time you play, you are auditioning.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because today on Get Up, the podcast with Greedy, the guy said the same thing that I've been telling my guys. You are auditioning.
Absolutely.
Because they're going through this thing with the wide receiver Pickett for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who didn't block a guy. And then came back and made a statement to the press that was kind of condescending to the press. And he said, do you not realize that at some point in your career, you may not be in Pittsburgh, and you are auditioning for these other 31 teams in the league.
Absolutely.
And this is what you're saying.
You're right.
And you think they want you, or you think you're going to get your value?
Yeah.
You're going to get your worth?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man, when you put your best foot forward all the time. When I was a recruiter in college for basketball, one of the things that I learned first was that when I went to a game, I sat across from the bench of the team in which the kid I was recruiting.
So you can look at it.
So I could see him, his interaction with his teammates, his interaction with his coach, how he handled tough love, everything. Because I'm only there to see you. Now, if I end up seeing somebody else, it's because I didn't like what I saw in you.
That's it. Absolutely.
So you need to, from little things like coming off the court, you upset and you have the right to be upset, but teammate extends a hands for a high five or something, you think I want to bring that problem to my university?
Exactly. No.
I'm not. Because just to give you some of the things that I hear from college coaches is when they call about a player, they say, Coach, well, we know he can play. Because if they call and they already know you can play.
Right,
They trying to find out all those other things.
That's it.
And since we're talking social media, that's why they follow you. That, it's not oh man, I got University of this following me, University of that following me. You know why? Because they want to see if you're going to get them fired if they brought you in.
That's
like
it.
you on your social media throwing up gang signs, guns in your hands, alcohol, smoking weed, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that on social media, you're saying this is what I do.
This is what I'll bring.
I don't know if I want that on my campus.
Absolutely not. Those days are over because most of the student athletes are truly that. This generation is a little different, but most of them do handle their business. And when it comes to being a student athlete, they come in with good grades, most of the time good behavior, and can play well. So it's far and few in between of the athletes that have behavior problems and not doing their work. Those coaches are not looking for those kids because there's so many out there that's handling their business now.
Right. So when you think about your competition, you got to think beyond your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
You got to think world now because they're recruiting kids from all over the world to come play basketball
That's right.
or football or whatever in these United States.
Yes, that's true.
And this technology, use it for what it's supposed to be used for in this proper way, and it might pay benefits for you. But if you misuse it,
It's going to be detrimental.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so can you discuss some of the potential benefits then and drawbacks of integrating mental health apps and wearable devices in an athlete's routine?
I am definitely a fan of, I have an Apple Watch, so I use, they have a breathe portion on that Apple Watch or your Fitbit, using those things. If you don't have a wearable device, then they have the Calm app and different types of apps on your phone. If you're a pen and paper type of person and just want to touch, I see you got your paper coach, if you want, the touch, use the adult coloring books, those mandalas. That really helped my daughter when she was dealing with her depression and had a lot going on in college. She would just kind of get with those coloring books, and it just kind of takes you away. Have you ever colored with Adriana?
When we were young, yes.
And sometimes you find yourself, they going on doing something else.
You still color.
And you still coloring. So it actually helps. And
Right.
it helps when you're dealing with those pressures and those anxieties. So it don't always just have to be digital. We can still get back to the basics and get back to writing in a journal and just coloring sometimes.
Wow, yeah, because I know my watch sometimes used to breathe.
Yeah,
I'm breathing.
Or tell you to stand up. You need to go walk around.
Yeah. Talk about the role and support systems. Beyond the professional help, how important is it to have a strong support system, including like family, friends, teammates, and an athlete's mental well-being?
Ooh, your support system is so important. Your circle is so important. I know you see over Twitter all the time, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So what we have around us, like I know my supervisor always say, we need peace seeker. You have a peace snatcher in your presence, somebody who's snatching your peace, you may need to remove them. So you have to have people in their terms that say, who got your back? Who do you have that have your back? I tell my kids all the time, yes, they have some great coaches and they have had some really good coaches who pour into them not only when we're playing, but even in the off season. My son's AAU coach is amazing. He sends him encouraging and motivational words normally 2 to 3 times a week. I didn't even know he was doing that. But just to have somebody like that who I know is pouring into my kid, that's important. But we have to make sure, I tell my boys all the time and the girls, ain't nobody gonna love you like I do. And I got your back when nobody else have your back.
That's right.
So we have to make sure that the support is, number one, top notch. Also, when it comes to these sports that we're paying for, these competitive sports, and we're putting them in, I always say, I'm not paying to have my kids around people who don't have the same agenda that I have. I need them to be pouring into him positivity and nothing else. So I'm not going to pay for a sport who's going to pull my kid down. So we have to make sure that we have the support and that kids have that support, because then they actually perform a lot better because they have an outlet and they're not just, looking to others to be validated by them.
So who seek out this assistance? Do the parents find the groups? I know with the teams you can choose.
Absolutely.
Because you could pretty much say, well, nah, I don't think I want him on that
ain't it.
group.
Yeah.
I don't want him with that group. I don't like how this is. But what about the kids? How do they go and seek out
I know
help?
with my son, what he does is he normally have a list of who, if it's a team that he's looking at, and then we vet those teams. But if you're needing help, it is so many apps, like your school counselor. I would hope that your coach would have some resources. If they don't, they know how to get the resources. They can get them from the school counselors.
Well, you have anything else you want to add to, like if I missed something in my questions that you might want to add?
I think we touched on pretty much everything today. It went really well. I am on social media platform. I know we did hit on social media.
Yeah, but we want to make sure they want to know how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram at Game Changer Mental Health Coaching, also at Making It Right on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, this has been the Passion Project with Coach Bacon and my special guest, my niece, Umeka Wright. Thank you guys. See you next time.